All right, so I'm going to demonstrate my method of packing an eraser, and I'm laying out all the tools that I'm going to use for the job. So I will use 3 clamps, 2 self-locking pull-up cords, 1 set of pull-up cords, another set of pull-up cords, 2 ghost loops, you can see how those work later, 2 bodkins, hemostat, the packing paddle, we'll refer to as a George tool, is a pilot chute compression tool, a board, it's about 6 inches to 16 inches long, and require weights for the container, and I pack the canopy with weights. So that is the tools that I'll be using. Okay, so I've already set the brakes, the inspection is done, I've set the brakes on the reserve, and now I'm just simply going to pro-pack it. Rate my lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is a PD 126 reserve. I send the slider back over my shoulders. And I'm going to work the canopy like you do on any other Pro Pack. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 4 A lines. Notice that I don't go all the way out. I just go until my B's meet the A's. Now I'm going to hold my B lines. I'm going to clear my stabilizer, and I'm going to repeat the process. Bring this out. Find my C lines. Bring them to the center. Now, if you have a bigger reserve and your arm obviously is not going to reach that far down, you can always take a packing paddle to do this part of the flaking. Now for the D lines, I just grab my brakes, lift them up, and it brings the D's up fairly easily. So I hold them all in one hand, give it a quick flick there, and now I have my brakes, my D's, my C's, my B's all in one straight line. I'll repeat the same process on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Find the other 4 for the B group. Flake it. Clean the stabilizer. While I'm holding my A's and B's, I'm going to find my C's. There they are. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Come down, grab the C's. With this finger, grab the B's. Flake it. Notice that I'm not going way out there. 1, 2, 3, brake lines. When you lift the brake lines up, it exposes the D fairly easily. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you want to use a packing paddle for this part, that's fine. And then I bring everything to the center as best I can. And you might want to walk around me here. I'm going to split the nose. 1, 2, 3. Switch hands. 1, 2, 3. One continuous motion. And lay the canopy out. Okay.
Oh,
I've done that. I'm going to come down here.
Marcelo.
Come down here and make my risers so they're all the same length. All right. Take a packing weight, and generally you should do this wearing socks. I really don't like when people pack reserves barefoot. Nobody wants somebody else's stinky feet on their customer's canopy. So bring everything over. And you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3. You can bring this out just a little bit. And what you want is a straight line from the container to the line attachment point and straight up. So I use a long weight for that line. That becomes my fold line. I take my toe right at that fold line and I look at the top 3 seams, 1, 2, and 3. Find the next attachment point, put a little bit of tension, flip it over like a book, and there's your first fold. Squeeze the air out, reach in here, find your B lines. You want to get underneath here so you can see. Find your B's, you lift them up a little bit, and you clear whatever material may have been trying to get towards the center. All right. Now we put a little bit of pressure here so we don't lose these lines there. Squeeze the air out. Keep the pressure on this hand. Move this weight up. Repeat. Now we're going to go up here again. 1, 2, and 3 seams. There's a straight line coming at me. 1, 2, and 3. There's the line attachment point. Now, you can reach here and find the C's, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You reach in here and you clean that up. So now you have your A's and your B's and your C's. Okay. Clean that up. Still holding pressure here until you're able to put the weight back on it. This gets a little bit different here. 1, 2, and let's see, 1. Where are you? There you are. Yeah. 1, 2, and 3. And we'll bring it over just like that. We'll have to clean it up by hand. So there's your D's, all 4 of them. So now you have your D's, your C's, and your A's. There's your wind channel. Now, when you're sweeping, you always want to go north. If you start doing this south, you're gonna put slack on the line. So now we're gonna lift this part of the stabilizer, and I'm gonna go grab this board to hold those line attachment points for the D lines right there. So now I have the canopy under control. I'm going to reach in here. And I'm going to start flaking the brake side. So my knee goes on top. Bring this down. My knee goes on top. Bring this down. If you're a very sweaty person and you don't want to put your sweaty knee on your customer's parachute, move the board each time. Works just as well. Now seam to seam. Move the board. So you're keeping control of your lines at all times. And then this one, you're going to move it just a little bit to the center. Instead of here, you're going to have it here. All right. Now, very carefully, we're going to lift this up. We're going to look in here, lift that up, and fold it all over so that you're still keeping material away from the center. This is all going to get cleaned up when we do the other side. Okay, so that's done. Very carefully, we're going to take the weight out and put it on top of everything. We're going to repeat on the other side. 1, 2, 3. The common mistake that people make is they have this straight line coming down this way, and then they go at an angle out here and they end up with this mushroom looking pack job. So just keep that straight line best way you can throughout the entire pack job. Makes life a lot simpler when you go put it in the bag. Put it over like a book. Reach in here. There's your B's. Reach in here and clean that up. B's are on top of A's. And now you can grab the whole thing and bring it closer. All right. Again, watch that my motions are always going north. All right. 1, 2, and 3. There's your C's. We're going to clean that up. And as you're watching your pack job here, you can see if there's something that needs to be cleaned up. This is a good time to do it. Those A's were trying to creep a little bit out. So there's your C's. Out. Straight line. These are weird, but we'll get them there. Okay. Open the stabilizer and look at your D's. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's the D's. So if you look here in the center, you have your A's, your B's, your C's, and your D's. We're going to emulate the same thing on the other side. Now we can bring everything closer in. Board goes here. Okay. Straighten that stabilizer out. Like I said, if you want to just switch the board each time, that's perfectly okay. What this does is keeps the lines being pushed towards the center. They don't start creeping out on you to the outside of the pack job. I can actually feel the D lines right there at the edge when I'm pushing with the board. Trying to keep your lines as taut as possible, not excessively, but to where you have some good tension on your lines and make your pack job a lot nicer and cleaner. And all this takes time and patience. It's never perfect the first time. Parachutes want to open, and so, you know, this whole exercise of trying to be origami-like, it's more for your own peace of mind. We just finished watching some guys pack military reserves, and they are looking at us right now with bug eyes because they don't do that much origami. Okay. Most important thing is, and this is always repeated, almost every rigger I ever spoke with is the same thing. Lines to the center, material to the outside. You want to do that every time because that really ensures a proper wind channel and aids in proper deployment of the reserve or any parachute. So now I'm going to lift this. This is a part where you got to be real careful. Grab your brakes. Looking here that you've cleaned it up. And set it back down and you're in good shape. Okay. And don't worry too much about the A's and B's moving out, because when I bring the slider, that gets taken care of. Your brake lines and your D lines, those are the ones you want to watch, because they can create problems. All right. Slider. For the slider, what I do is I make like a little house. Some people call it a rocket ship. This is not my creation. This was a gentleman by the name of Gustav out of Austria that showed me this method, and I've been using it for about 20 years, and has worked very well for me. It's very uniform, less bulk, it's tidy, and to date I've not had any issues with how it deploys. It does make a little for I think brisker opening, but not hard or where people have complained about anything other than thank you, the reserve opened beautifully. So all right, so now we have the little rocket ship or house, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to reclamp my risers to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. I'm going to take this guy all the way up here. When you get it up to the canopy, you're going to take your packing paddle and go underneath all those lines and lift up part of the stabilizer, and you're going to pull that all the way through and into your pack job. Pull the packing paddle out. Then you're going to lift this rear portion, and this one comes up just a little bit more. The main thing to achieve here is to make sure that your grommets are seated against those grommer stops, or sorry, slider stops, and then you dress your slider inside the stabilizer, inside the pack job. You can lift in here and check that those grommets are up where they need to be. Okay, so that's basically what I do with the slider. Then come the reduction folds. Reduction folds are, almost every rigger out there has a different way of doing them. Again, this is not from me. I learned this one from Gustav and I really liked it. The very next group after your stabilizer is the one I grab, and I take this board and I push the lines to the center. And I make the board go as far up as I can. I'm not too concerned about what's going on down here. I'm more concerned about up here. And I fold it over, gently slide it out. And I want